Good morning, and special thanks to Elaine. It was a perfect segue into this. As I have sat here in the sanctuary of light and love, I've often heard the message to be grateful, to write down those things for which we are grateful. This is nothing new for me. I daily add to my gratitude journal. I've also noticed that those listening appear to relate to and appreciate personal stories. That book. After sharing back in March on lessons from the classroom, I believed that I had nothing else to share. The spirits have been telling me differently. Therefore, with the encouragement of Marcia's guide Nari, who asks us, "What is your story?" and her saying that that which has happened to you has not broken you, it made you. And my guide's help, I'm going to share some personal stories of my life experiences with a focus on gratitude, a focus on adapting, improvising, and overcoming, triumphing, not just surviving. Here we proclaim, we believe we create our own reality with our thoughts. As Viktor Frankl famously said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Our stories are all based on the perspectives we give them. One story we may choose to tell ourselves is, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I'm a victim, etc., etc., etc. Or we can begin to remember who we truly are. Spiritual beings having a human experience. That we are triumphing over the challenges that are helping us grow spiritually. When I told my sister my topic, she contributed a quotation from Guru Mai Chidvilananda, her poem for Diwali, October 2025. Whatever challenges you confront in life, take care that panic does not settle in. You have the worthiness, the innate power to let these tribulations be transformed into row after row of gleaming lamps. I grew up in Massachusetts. I was raised in an Irish Catholic family, 10 children born in 12 years. There were some good times and some very bad times. I am grateful that I learned what I did want for family dynamics by seeing what I didn't want. Seeing the darkness helped to lead me to the light. I chose not to be a victim of that childhood, but to triumph over it. When my children were in elementary school and I was a single mother, receiving little or no child support, living in HUD housing, on food stamps, every evening we would gather together to write down 3 things for which we were grateful. My daughters have told me how important that was at that time. They have told me how grateful that they were, that they didn't know that we were quite poor. My focus was on providing them with experiences, not material things. At that time, I was grateful that I knew that I had family members who could assist if an emergency came up. I'm grateful that no such emergencies came up, or ones that I couldn't handle. I chose not to be a victim, but to be the best mom that I could be. I'm grateful that I had a college degree in elementary education, although I had not yet been a classroom teacher. I worked as a para-educator in a classroom for special needs students. When the teacher decided to move away, the principal asked me to take over the job. At first I said, I didn't believe that I could handle working full-time, being a single mother, and working on a master's degree, a requirement for the job. I finally agreed after a chat with my angel's guide. I would need their help. I asked for it, and they were there every step of the way. I somehow came up with the money and support with childcare to earn a master's degree in special education. I had to drive from Glenwood Springs to Grand Junction, 90 miles, every other Friday afternoon after a full week of teaching, sit in class for 4 hours, and then 8 more hours on Saturday. I had to trust that the children's father would pick them up from school. I'd return home Saturday evening. I'd spend Friday night sleeping on the floor of a motel room that a friend had booked with one bed. Better than sleeping in my car. This was how I made ends meet and triumph over challenges. Of course, there were papers to write. I'm grateful that I had an electric typewriter, although a computer would have been handy. This was in the early 1990s, so personal computers were quite pricey. When I look back at some of the papers, I know for sure the angel's guide had been helping out, as I had little memory of writing them. They were very well written papers and all received an A. It took 2 years and was totally worth it. Thank you, angels, guides, and thank you for the principal for having confidence in me. Over the years, I have gained more confidence in myself. I worked as a special educator for 30 plus years and loved the time that I spent with my students. I'm also grateful for that experience and training so that after retiring in 2014, I could use my expertise as I helped care for my granddaughter, Lydia, who was born 2 weeks before my first retirement. I had had so much practice acting, improvising, and in order to overcome from my teaching days, that it was a natural step to continue with Lydia. Lydia was medically and physically fragile. I am ever so grateful that Lydia chose our family for one of her earthly experiences, even though it was for a short 7 2/3 years. I'm also grateful that Lydia spoke to me from the other side through Pastor Susan. She spoke this past Thursday as well, during a first Thursday evening, letting me know how grateful she was for all the love and acceptance she received while here on this plane. She also shared that she was very happy and that she had cleared almost all of her karmic debt and had graduated. Now, who wouldn't be grateful for that sharing? I'm so very grateful for my children. My twin daughters are an absolute delight, and I love them dearly. They have given me 4 awesome grandchildren, and they are a huge part of my life. I have a stepdaughter, Bethany, and 2 grandsons who live in Wisconsin, so we don't see them very often. My son Noah's daughter, Ashley, and my 2 great-grands live in Georgia. I'm grateful for my son, although in different ways. Noah had chosen a difficult path this go-around, and he had chosen me as his mother. I learned a great deal from his challenges: patience, setting boundaries, taking care of myself, etc., etc., etc. Noah was very loving and very adventurous. He was labeled with ADHD and had an IQ over 120. He came up with some very creative and often very illegal schemes. He lived on the edge his entire life. It is said that those with ADHD struggle to learn from their choices. Drug and alcohol use, along with poor choices, landed him in prison a number of times. As a special educator, sharing some of his experiences helped to open doors with parents. They understood that I wasn't just a teacher, but also a parent of a child with challenges. I'm grateful for the connections this afforded me. I'm still in contact with some of those parents. I'm grateful that he always knew that I loved him, although often not his behaviors or choices. Noah was shot and killed December 1st, 2023. His transition was very sudden, but because of his lifestyle, not entirely unexpected. I am ever so grateful that he didn't kill someone while drinking or drugging and driving. I've received messages through readers here that he is okay in addressing some of his choices. I pray that he grew spiritually this recent go-around. When growing up, my dad, who had learned to fly Piper Cubs during World War II, had taught us that if we waved at a low-flying two-passenger plane and the pilot tipped the wings, he was signaling that he or she had seen us. Noah's sisters, Cynthia and Carrie, and I had discussed what animal would let us know that Noah was around. Lydia shows us as butterflies. Several days after Noah's transition, I was sitting in the hot tub and looked up to see a single crow sitting in the neighbor's yard. I immediately knew it was a sign from Noah. I had goosebumps. The crow flew off and circled around. It flew directly above me and tipped its wings, saying, "Mom, I'm okay, and I see you." Every time I see a crow, I say, "Hello, Noah," and feel grateful. More Noah stories. Noah was living in my basement apartment. He was in the process of building a shed in my backyard for his 2 motorcycles and his tools that had taken over my garage. He transitioned shortly after he had nailed in the roof shingles. Fortunately, the structure had been wrapped in Tyvek. We were able to have it completed, and it has been repurposed. It is now Nana's casita, meaning little house. I am ever so grateful to have a casita. It has electricity and a heater to use in the winter. My daughters gifted me with 3 crystal singing bowls, which I tone every morning, and then I practice meditating. Awesome gifts from my children, for which I feel grateful every day. I might cry on this one too. Another Noah story happened on what would have been his 46th birthday. I sent a text to his former girlfriend saying that I was thinking about her. I received a reply saying, "Who is this?" I replied that I was Noah's mom and sorry, I must have the wrong number. The person replied, "No problem," and that he had received other texts for the same person that I had been trying to reach. He also said his name was Noah. And he had been very confused. I explained that my son had been killed recently, and I sent him light and love in a text. His reply was a miracle. Quote, "I love you, Mom. I know some days are tougher than others, but I'm always looking out for you, and I can't wait to see you again. You are so strong, and I miss you, but I'm okay, and I hope you are too. Life is but a glimpse in the eternity that we can spend together. Again, I love you with all my heart. You're the best. Take care, Mama. Until next time." Signed, Noah with hearts. And no need to respond. At first I thought, what a wonderful gift from a complete stranger. And then changed my thinking to acknowledge that we are all connected. And on the spirit level, he is not a stranger. I have respected his request and not responded via text, and yet every day I send light and love for his highest good to Angel Noah. I'm so grateful for this experience. I am grateful for my family of origin, all 8 surviving siblings, with only 12 years between the oldest at 80 and the baby at 68. My oldest brother died by suicide when I was pregnant with my twin daughters. Of course, we have had, and at times continue to have, our differences. Using Marcia's guide's description, some of us are tulips and some daffodils. We have free will and are loved unconditionally. As we all enter the vintage stage of life, we more often find common ground to love one another. I'm still grateful that I moved west. All but one sibling live in New England. Sometimes it's easier to love from afar and really connect every year or two when I go back east. I've shared that I retired first in 2014. I'm still not totally retired. I work as a substitute teacher. I choose jobs to work with preschoolers, kindergarteners, and sometimes first graders. I don't want to get lip from the other ones. Also jobs to work with special needs students. My daughters keep telling me that spending time with students is keeping me young. This year I was blessed to work on occasion in a classroom for 3-year-olds. A little girl named Sophie in this class went home and told her mother that she had a grandmother teacher and talked about me all day. Later, her mom reported that Sophie had seen me working with other students and she had waved and I didn't see her. She reported to Mom that Grandma didn't wave at me. Mom also reported that Sophie often plays school at home and Grandma has to be there in her imaginary world. And again, Mom reported that Sophie has to have Grandma there when she takes a nap. I shared with Mom a tiny bit about Lydia and how grateful I was to have a new granddaughter, even if it may be just for this school year. Thanks, Lydia, for sending Sophie. Many of you know that I volunteer holding babies in the NICU at Children's Hospital once a week. Recently, I was attempting to comfort a 3-month-old little girl who was missing her mom, and she was very hungry. For an hour and a half, I tried every strategy I knew to little avail. Then I admitted to my angels that I needed help. I surrounded her with extra light and love, and with the angels' help, in 2 minutes, she was sound asleep. I'm so grateful for the help I receive and the gentle reminders to ask for help. Lastly, I want to share how grateful I am for this spiritual community. My childhood religious experiences, including sexual abuse, turned me away from organized religion. However, I believe that I have always had a spiritual life. After Lydia and Noah transitioned home, I felt a greater need to pursue my spiritual beliefs. As one of the statements of belief says, we believe that we are here in this physical world to learn and to develop our spirituality. It was time for spiritual work. I'm so grateful for the first Thursday gatherings and have received some amazing messages. I appreciate that Pastor Susan always reminds us that we all have the ability to connect with our spirit guides and not to give away our power. My lines of connection are still developing. Thank you, readers, for being the bridge until I grow more spiritually. And more importantly, for my growth have been the sessions with Marcia's chorus. Wow. Many of the messages from the chorus have already been a part of my belief system, and it's the clear, direct, and often humorous presentation that has reawakened that inner knowledge. They all remind us that we have free will, that everyone is loved unconditionally, and that we are the flawless spiritual beings that we came here to be. That our challenges help us grow spiritually, for if we did not see clearly what we do not want, how can we be sure of what we do want? I choose to be grateful for all my blessings and challenges. I'm so very grateful for having no mortgages, no car payments, a long way from HUD housing and food stamps. I have triumphed. I am grateful for being able to grow spiritually. Thank you for letting me share. I'm very grateful for this community.